Welcome to Ponytails and Pep Talks, the podcast where blowouts, breakdowns, and breakthroughs are a weekly discussion. I'm your host, Regina. For over 3 decades, I've been behind the salon chair as a stylist, an owner, and yes, your favorite unlicensed therapist. I have heard it all. The tears, the triumphs, the you won't believe what just happened stories from courageous women overcoming incredible obstacles. So let's meet one of them right now on Ponytails and Pep Talks. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you joined us today on Ponytails and Pep Talks. I'm your host, Regina. And as I promised, I'm on location in beautiful, sunny California. And here today, I'm in the beautiful Casa del Mar Hotel right in Santa Monica. My guest today is someone with many gifts and many talents, and we'll all encompass that by saying she has the title of healer. Today, we're going to unpack her journey and see where her time of expertise has come in, and she's changing the world around her. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Hello there. I'm Yvonne Larson. I have a couple of monikers, the Genius Muse and the Network Expert, and both of those come into play in the whole healing title. I was originally born in San Antonio. Life took me to the West Coast, and I thought I came for one reason, but I gained so much more than that. I am the eldest of 5 kids, and I have a very huge family back in Texas. So, what else?
That's it. I love that beginning. I think that, gives us a place to start. And so let's just kind of unpack from about the time you left high school, you're headed off to college, and what is your aspiration? What have you decided? This is what I'm going to be.
Oh my goodness. So, I think heading off to college, you're supposed to know what your whole life is supposed to be at age 19.
Yes, you are. I thought I knew.
So leading up to that point, I had done all kinds of things. I had begun singing in church at age 9. I was teaching people at like 2nd grade. I literally finished 1st grade and asked all of my teachers if I could have all the empty worksheets. And I told all the neighborhood kids if they came to my garage that they would learn 1st grade. So that was my very first thing not my very first thing was entrepreneur.
Okay.
So Mama, we went to Cracker Barrel.
Yes.
And on the shelf was little pet rocks with the jiggly eyes.
Yes.
And I thought, people give you money for rocks? So we went home, a little red hair, freckle faced girl, picked up rocks from my neighbor's yard, knocked on her door, and I asked her if she wanted to buy my rocks. And she said yes. She started laughing. She was just full of joy. And she told her husband to bring her purse. So I got a couple bucks, and I was like, ooh. I like selling things. Makes people happy. So that's when the entrepreneur was born. But into a family of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And so by the time I'm getting into, decision making around college, I had done entrepreneurism, like other things. I sold a bunch of things.
Yeah.
I did actually the singing at age 9. So that got me into like acting and singing and dance and all that kind of thing in high school. So I knew I loved performance.
And that was still in Texas.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. Way before we ever come out here.
Way. So essentially, entrepreneur, teacher, singer. Then in 10th grade, I thought judge. I wanted to be a judge. And then I was very interested in people. So then I thought maybe psychotherapist. And then the hot thing to go into was physical therapy. So I needed to do the smart thing.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And so I went to college. I went to UT San Antonio. Started UTS San Antonio to pursue physical therapy.
Okay.
And I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
And yet you sort of ended up in the same aspect of that,
right?
Now.
So, what we know is true about life is that life lives.
Yeah.
And we actually have the illusion that we have control of life.
Of course.
But there is someone who does have control. And so if we can surrender that control, it makes things a lot easier. And if not, you get to buzz around like a bee to a whole bunch of flowers until you figure it out, right?
I think sometimes that's the backside of being an entrepreneur is that our minds work all over the place. Sometimes like, I could do that. I could have the ability to do that. Let's look into that. But I could do that too. Let's do that. It is a little harder to focus. So where did you decide to focus in on?
Well, so after I decided I did not like the whole physical therapy thing, I changed to journalism. So like I started studying journalism at North Harris Community College in Houston, which is where I was growing up at the time. And then someone from church saw that I was there and said, "You got to go sing for the dean." So I ended up getting a full scholarship for music. And then I had a teacher who couldn't teach me
In music?
and well, she was just not very, she didn't have the capacities. And I think this is a really big life lesson that people, what their limitations are, sometimes you think you are lacking and missing something.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right. But it's actually on them. And so she literally couldn't relate to my learning style.
Right.
And she would embarrass me to the degree that I literally walked away from my scholarship after like one round.
No.
She heard me sing because of scholarship it was a very small concentrated group that we had like really cool performances. And when she heard me singing "I'm Your Baby Tonight" by Whitney Houston, she came up to me afterwards and she's like, "I don't understand why when we're in class you can't do this, but you can get over here and you can sing like that." And I said, "Because I sing from here. I don't sing from here, I sing from here." And I was like really crazy. Fast forward many, many, many years ago when I was here, not in Texas, but here in California, I bumped into a guy who's a piano coach. Now, this is the difference between her and him. Okay. So he said, "Played something on the piano." I said, "Oh, I haven't played in a long time." And he's like, "Start here, try to play Mary Had a Little Lamb." And I clink it out. I clink it out, right? And he's like, "Very good." And he says, "Now I need you to transpose that." Oh, I don't know how to transpose. He's like, "Do the same thing, start with this note." And I did it again. He's like, "You just transposed." Like I could literally cry. I really could, because one person made me feel incompetent and like failure.
Right.
And I was young at that age.
Very vulnerable age.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And a little older, like I'm in my 30s at this point when I'm meeting this person. And I'm like, he made me feel brilliant. He took who I was and what I came to the table with, and he showed me how to shine.
Right.
So
that's why it's so important to surround yourself with like-minded people. And, as they say, always have that person that you can learn from and always have that person that you can teach, around you. And I think that, is what does that. So now you've done the music thing, which just continues to flow through your life. But what did you decide to do as a career then at that point?
Well, I mean, it still wasn't done because when I walked away from that, I finished all of my like credits, at a lesser school. So that like wasn't spending too much money. And then I ended up going to Sam Houston State University and getting a degree in radio, television, and film.
Okay.
Which in this day and age where everyone can do a podcast, be it video or just audio or whatever, like I understand the back end workings of that.
Right.
It also came into play in a very huge way being in LA because there almost isn't anyone who isn't connected to the industry. And so like there was like an understanding, like being gotten, which is I think another huge life lesson. It's like instead of trying to be interesting, be interested. Right?
Definitely.
So like when
be curious about people.
Exactly. When people feel seen, heard, and gotten, it's a game changer.
Right.
I have found that like I can hop in an Uber and be 15, 20 minutes away and I will already know someone's life story because I'm not trying to impress.
Yeah. And
like people just
to listen.
All of their like insecurities or like fears or whatever just melt away. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm ending up coaching someone in an Uber to the point where like I've gotten to a destination and the Uber driver who was talking about her daughter
is now
money
you and
got out, she can't hug you, and she literally gets out of the car and comes and hugs me, right? So it's like there's the saying about like people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how they made you, how you made them feel, right?
Well, this is the big thing behind being a hairdresser. That's exactly our life. We're an open space for people to take the weight off or whatever they're living through, at the moment.
Yeah.
So very, similar things.
Answering the question, but
I know. So let's go to this.
I'll put a punctuation on that. So coming out of massage school, well, not massage school, oh my gosh, I can't even get it straight. So this, it's gonna make sense here in a minute. So coming out of that, and then like still not being so in debt that I couldn't actually go into work with that. I like did corporate, I did all kinds of little things here and there, and came across a newspaper at one point, a local newspaper that says something about massage. And I'm like, I've never even heard of massage, and I'd never heard of it. And I'm like, well, that looks a lot like physical therapy. So in Houston, I began school, and I got to go to two schools for the price of one. There's a story in it behind that. We don't have time for that.
Yeah. We don't have time for all
But
the stories.
essentially, God took me in a direction that allowed me to learn from, like, my first school was the best school ever. Like, I've never come across another school like that one. Primarily because they taught us, their promise was to teach us how to be body workers and healers. Okay. And they would follow that up with, anyone can teach a monkey a massage routine. Yeah. And most schools, that's why I said that was the best school I ever went to. Most other schools literally just teach people a routine. Right. So they don't know how to actually customize. They don't know how to listen to the person that they're like working with. You know, that is a skill set. As you've been doing this for decades, right? You know, listening to people behind the chair, there's an empathy, there's a connection, there's an understanding, there's a digging, there's a curiosity that you have to have when you're like customizing, you know, work with whatever profession that you're in. And the other thing that they were very big about was emotional release work. So the moment that I became aware of that, that became a passion for me. So I'm going to fast track to now, the healer part. Right. I feel like it seemed like it didn't make any sense as I'm heading in the direction of now, but from the direction of now looking back, I can see how everything contributed to how it is that I get
Through
to
massage.
with, yeah,
Through massage therapy.
My primary income for 3 decades. Right. I get to bring in the judge. I get to bring in discernment. I get to bring in the psychotherapist. I forgot that part. I get to bring that part into the comment, to the situation, the coaching, the neurolinguistic programming, my music. I literally have like song, and you know, like one of my ladies, I had written a song, custom song for Valentine's Day from a mother to her daughter. And this woman, she was young and she's a doctor, and her husband wanted a baby, and so they were trying, and she didn't anticipate actually getting pregnant. And so when she did, she was freaked out. She's like, I don't know if I really want to be a mom. Oh my gosh, this is going to mess up being a doctor and all. And I literally, God told me to sing that song. Tears are coming down her eyes. And then, you know, I spoke to her about a year ago, and she's like, just thank you. I'm going to cry. She said, thank you so much. She said, motherhood has been beautiful. And she says, that song made all the difference in the world. So, like, I never know of all of these things,
what's gonna touch
in
you.
my toolbox,
Right.
you know, and that's like conventional and unconventional, like education along the way.
Right.
So then we have life experiences.
We have life experiences. That's what I was going to all of this is so good because this is what is created now for you and in life. But along the way, that journey wasn't so glamorous. Along the way, it took a lot of self-discipline. It took a lot of believing in yourself.
Yes.
And because you've told me this story.
My mom, you said believe in yourself. Like sometimes like what got me here was me taking action, and then like totally being terrified.
Sure, doing it like, scared. That's what I say.
Doing it scared, but like I did not have belief in myself in the moment that got me here. I had to borrow my mother's belief, and her belief she was getting from God. So like,
that was good. That's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
that's what helps give you that. Whenever
that story or not, the walking in thinking I had something to do when I got here, and then finding out I didn't. Or
yeah, sure.
Because you're saying doing it scared, right?
Right, doing it scared, taking chances, knowing that this is your goal, this is your dream, this is what you want to do, but that doesn't always mean it works out right the first time, and you have to keep trying.
Or that you
so, what
don't
happened
have any
with that?
Or any
you don't, right?
No,
but you're like, hey, I'm going to move to a new state. I am going to try this. I am going to jump right into this, and it's going to go great. And you're built up, you're ready to go. But then what happened?
Oh my gosh. So I had come here on a little 4-day and I thought this place is magical. And I didn't know anything about this place. I had no desire to ever come here. Like I did not.
Here, meaning California.
Yeah, like I thought
California.
in Texas, if you're outside and it's sunny, you're miserable because it's hot and humid. So I had no idea that there was another reality. And this place is absolutely beautiful. And so I had come out attempting to find something and knowing that I already had a practice in Texas and Houston full, like 3 years, 600 clients, 50 hours a week, waiting list, like, don't get off my off my calendar. You might not be able to get back on.
And it's like, why is my brain even thinking this is not enough now?
Well, because of the music, the
Okay.
drive of the music. I was coming up on 30 and I was like, I don't want to turn 80 one day and never have gone all in,
Okay.
because like that's the desire
Yeah.
that was in my heart. And I believe that God puts those desires in our heart to push us in a direction, right?
Sure. To keep growing.
So I was scared. I couldn't just come out here and not have something. And I'd only been an entrepreneur, like in that business. So like, I'm gonna have to work for somebody. So I tried a bunch of places and the compensation, the split was horrible. And I came here, there's a hoity-toity place. And when they found out my skill set and places that I was affiliated with, they like offered me a really good split. And that was on January 22nd of 2001. And they said the job is available on March 4th of 2001. So I didn't live here, here in LA. And they said, well, if you want it, get here. So I like walk out to the car with the person who's driving me around, like stunned. And he's like, are you okay? And I was like, they hired me. I was like,
I got the job.
He's really confused as to why that's happening.
Yeah.
I was like, but it starts first Monday of March. And he's like, what's wrong? He's like, I don't live here. He's like, I know a place. Do you want to go? So we drive about 30 minutes in a different direction. I have a plane to catch just a few hours out.
Yeah.
And drive over there. I get to rent a bedroom. And she needed February and a deposit. So I write a check for $1,000. It's cheap then. And then I go, I'm still stunned. I'm like, what is happening? And get to the airport and I'm like freaking out. Like, did I do the right thing? I'm doubting myself. So I get on a payphone. This is before cell phones. And I call my mom and like I said, she's like, oh honey, I'm like, should I do the right thing? Should I go get my money back? And she's like, no, you have nothing to do with this. This is all in God's hands. It wouldn't be that easy.
Well, that's it. It seemed like every single thing was just falling right into place.
Yes.
Everything looked great.
Correct.
Until.
So I got here and then I showed up on that first day and management had changed and it was no record of my hire.
You're like, yeah, we don't have you down here.
So the life lesson looking back was God wanted me in LA. I was supposed to come to LA and start serving here. And it would have taken a long time. Any other way to get me here would have taken me a long time.
Right.
Like this is in
this way you didn't have as much time to think. It's just that it was happening, it's going, it's doing. You're supposed to be here. Let's go.
It's like monkeys swinging through the jungle. You can't grab onto the next vine if you're still holding on to the last one. So in reverse,
right.
When I knew that God didn't want me here anymore, I keep on trying to hold on to the vine here.
Yes.
And it has made getting totally settled back in Texas really hard.
Right. Because you've had to start over again.
I have.
On top of that.
I've been building again.
That's right.
There's
You're building
a whole
again.
list of, new little open, shut. I'm like, where am I supposed to go? How long am I supposed to be here? Closed doors that aren't serving you.
Because this middle space is not fun. This waiting spot. Because I find myself in that even right now with endeavors and things, that I'm doing. And this has to be the hardest place. Knowing you have a goal, knowing you have a dream, knowing it's there, you're heading towards it, but you have to wait. You have to gain more knowledge. You have to build a foundation for what you're doing. And that's what you're in the middle of, kind of doing now.
Yeah. So. Well, and I know that we were discussing this the other day because this is my new landlord. And I like even that, like I told you, I said, this is what you opened the door. I was like, I just felt like I'd always known you. And then I felt
her energy right away.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, this is where I feel like I'm supposed to be. And then I'm like, God, provide. And literally within a week, like clients I hadn't heard from in LA since 2017 are reaching out saying, looks like you're available, but it also looks like you live in Texas. I'm very confused.
Right. Life is changing in a different direction for
Said,
me.
I'm going back and forth. And he said, can I buy a package? And I'm like, yes, you may. And, so then I had, the resources. But the thing about, original building of a business, this whole entrepreneur thing, I mean, if you want to grow, just try to be an entrepreneur. That's right. So, like, you build a better business, build a better you, build a better you, build a better world, right? So, one of my mentors, says that all the time. But like in the beginning, when I first started my practice, like it built itself, and I just thought that's how it looked to build like a business. Right. It built itself. I was in coming out of school in the framework that Texas provides, those with an internships and get the people and the people tell people, and like it just became right successful. And I was doing quality, and it was all the skill sets, even from Mary Kay. Like, you know, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. So like, there's so many things that I learned from being a consultant at age 19 that have carried over into business building. And so that allowed that business just to grow. And I was highly sought after, and I was in demand. And I just assumed that the profession would yield that no matter where I was. Right. When it was a little bit of a shock. I had no idea that this was going to be a little harder. I never had to, do promotions or packages or like networking, or I didn't know how to brag about myself. I didn't know how to talk to and I, shared with Regina that I borrowed some of my skill sets from Mary Kay and created like cute little flyers and get all dolled up. And I go to a place and like, I'm going to strike up a conversation and then like tell them what I do. And I'd like walk around and I would be so full of anxiety that it would reach panic. I would run to my car and I would cry. I literally did not know. It felt inauthentic. Right. Fast forward over the years, knowing it's not about me ever. Like, I just get into a conversation and once again, be very curious and loving and, how can I pour into this person? And then it always ends up like, what do you do? And I'm like, wow, so, I don't know where else to go after that. Right. I'm hit at that end. That's right. So what I love about what you do and about you in general, which some people don't see in themselves, is you don't give up. You have that dream, you have that drive, and it's like, okay, well, that didn't work out. No. So let's try this angle. Let's try this direction. So because of that, you also then began teaching other women then how to do that. You started writing your own stuff, doing your own podcasts, doing your own thing, because things that you and I kind of take for granted, because we do have that entrepreneur, we do know how to talk and help other people. We just assume everyone does. Entrepreneurs, once again, building a better, as you're building a business, you are building a better you. Right. So simply by being in action, you are able to fail forward fast. I know there's a lot of cliches and sayings, right? But like, until you take action, you don't know what's possible. You don't know what the obstacles are going to be. That's right. You don't know any of those things, right? And then, as you were saying, like you went from one and jumped all the way over to another area. It wasn't nearly that fast, like the things that we learn along the way and become like, we have zero capacity to do a thing. And then we understand that like, oh, I need a skill set. And then we start to work on that skill set and we build some capacity. And then we end up having like, we can do it in our sleep. Right. And that's when we get so far removed from how hard it was that like we forget that other people don't know that. Or we just don't know. So there came a point where I started worrying about like my future. Like, okay, I don't know how long physically someone can do what I do. And I want same way with hairdressing action. Yeah. Before I could teach people what, how I like built a business. And rather than massage therapist going from school to work, I never want to criticize or diminish other people's professions, but what is required of a massage therapist in the capacity of a healer, you should be getting paid as much as, whoever owns a business. And the situation most commonly is they go into business for someone else and they're getting paid a fraction of what they actually deserve.
Right.
And then, like literally, there's a gal that I've met recently in San Antonio at my San Antonio office, and she did that herself. She says, I worked so hard. She's no longer doing this full time because she burned herself out.
Right.
She had a very short career, like
Hard for someone else. Yeah.
oh my gosh. So my goal was like to allow people to go straight from school and straight into business for themselves. And at the time, 2015, when I launched the Massage Business Academy online, it was like seeing someone in a burning building and saying, hey, the building's on fire. I've got a ladder. Would you like to come down? And they're like, oh no, I'm good. Because they were like, it's easier to work for someone else. And they just couldn't figure out like, yes, there will be things to learn. You will have to like gain confidence. I like from crying into my car to like, the other night when we were out, the girl's like, what do you do? Yes. Your number. Like it's just it does eventually become easy and natural.
It does.
So what?
Because nothing's easy when you started out.
No.
Even, we talked about that even as a child, after you're born, you've still got to crawl, you've still got to walk, and then you can run.
Yeah.
There is nothing you do that you can jump way past all those steps in order to succeed.
Yeah.
And your program kind of helps them guide their direction,
So like I got so frustrated with like, I only helped a handful of people. It just, it was like, there's so many times in my life I've been way further ahead of the trend.
Sure.
And so I like kind of moved off to the side, and I realized, you know what? Mostly in my massage practice, I'm getting women entrepreneurs. So they're moms. They have like they have like either a company or they have a job and they have a side hustle, or they're stay at home like with a side gig, freelance kind of something, right? And I'm like, oh, these people actually care about those skill sets, and these skill sets are just business skill sets. They aren't just for massage therapists. So I essentially started like creating this whole niche around helping my incredible, intelligent, wise women who just have their, like I said, their traditional, conventional education as well as untraditional, unconventional.
That's right.
And life experiences. And they had this thing they're very passionate about, some sort of mission or vision that was driving them. And because of how much wisdom and knowledge they have, they can't condense that down so that they can pluck out the one thing that they can say to someone that makes them click immediately and resonate with what they do.
Right.
So I started seeing that I had this gift for helping them do that. So I started going in that direction. And oddly enough, I got mad when I saw an appointment pop on my calendar from the massage business. I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore.
I'm helping other people now with others.
It turned out that it was a spa owner on the East Coast. And we had a 30-minute conversation. She immediately paid me like for 6 months of working together. And then, it was just like, oh, like you do not know where things are taking you. You do not know why you're being taken in a direction. I'm getting emotional because I'm like, I'm very passionate about people living their purpose. And so, like I say, embody your genius to live your joy. And when I say genius, I define that as like what the purpose that God installed in you before you were even born in your entire life. I call your genius journey. And it's about chipping away everything that isn't your genius.
Right.
And you only learn that by going through the life experiences, by listening and learning and a somewhat easier path, not listening and learning on a more challenging path.
That's it. I saw a quote the other day and it really resonated so much because it was, this person was very frustrated and, asking God, why did you make me go through, which would give that much of a struggle?
Yeah.
Why did I have to go through that? Why was that so hard?
Yeah.
And God's answer was, I brought you through that because when I send you back in to grab someone else, you know your way out.
Yeah.
And that just touched my soul.
Yeah.
Because I have gone through a lot, as well as a lot of other people. And you question God, like, are you even there? And it just softened my heart. It's like, okay, that's my purpose. to go back in then for those that are in that darkness and pull them back out and show them the way back out. And that's a lot of what you do.
What you are describing is the opposite of toxic positivity. So, like, we go through things and people are like, oh, there's a reason why you went through that. And they just want to like bypass like what that thing actually prepared you for, what it's stripped away, what it brought into clarity. And so I say, like, if you go out into the yard with a foil pan, plop mud in on it and smear whipped cream on it, you have a mud pie with whipped cream. But when someone is in your chair or they're on my table or they're working with you, person that's listening and watching, there are things that they are going to say that you're not going to have a head knowledge about. You're going to have a heart knowledge about.
That's right.
And in doing that, like they can like actually know that although there might be a uniqueness to their specific circumstance, that they're not the only one. And much of the things that we go through are universal experiences, but the uniqueness of each of our experiences are training us to help them to reach in and help the next person get out. And so by understanding that and knowing, like seen, heard, gotten, they get to let it go.
They do. That's the exact reason for this podcast, is to let women know you're not the only one going through this. Someone else has gone through a very similar experience. And, this is your light at the end of that tunnel showing you there is a way through this. And I want to help you. Just knowing sometimes that someone else is in the same place you are creates a bond. You're like, okay, I'm not alone. And that's what this podcast does. That's what I want other women to share with other women, even the really hard stuff, because sometimes it's the hardest stuff is what makes another person see the light, connect to you, and you help them along.
I mean, after 30 years, over 40,000 hours, there pretty much isn't a story. Like, I have heard some horrific things.
Same.
Horrific.
Yeah.
And to just hold space. You just be with that person, and you're not trying to like commiserate. You're not trying to minimize. You're not trying to make them feel better. You're actually allowing them the opportunity to have that feeling so that it'll dissolve,
right?
So that it can resolve and they can come to like resolution with that and begin to actually leverage that experience to live a better life for themselves, their husband, their children, their community, their church, their friends, their family, all of that kind of thing. So
it does. I've had clients in my chair, and even recently, even a gentleman that was getting his hair cut, and something was said, and he goes, oh yeah, every time I think my problems are a big deal, I see someone else. And I said, you know what, I get that, but you know what, you have a right to your situation, your feelings, your emotions, and working through them, because what's going on with you right now is just as important and just as many life lessons to learn as what this person is going through.
Yeah.
So don't minimize what's going on with you.
I feel like that's another flavor of toxic positivity.
I do too.
Like, you need to don't invalidate your experience.
That's right.
Trying to like,
oh, I shouldn't think that.
Trying to get past feeling your own experience. You are going through that because there is something that is refining you and strengthening you and preparing you for the next iteration of your genius.
Totally agree. And that is something I've definitely talked about behind the chair. So, well, it looks like our time is about up. And I know that you and I could we've spent hours and hours and hours talking already this weekend. So I see a future, podcast coming up where we can help you guys, even more. So I want to just kind of close today with a few points. Like, what did you get, from this today? And what I want you to get from it is don't give up. If you have a dream and everything looks like it's going great, every step you're like, oh yeah, this is meant to be because this step and this step and this step. And then you go to the end of it and somebody forgot to tell somebody else that you were supposed to come to work here, and then all of a sudden you've moved an entire state, you've moved your life, you've moved everything. And don't take that as a failure. Just take that as, okay, this was my direction. Now let's redirect to what else that God may have planned for me to do. So don't give up. Have a dream. If there's something you don't understand or steps that you need to get on your dream, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to reach for a mentor. Don't be afraid to reach for a book, whatever it takes to help you, because the steps you go through is something you're going to be able to turn around and help others to go through as well. So thank you for your time today. Thank you guys. Please share, like, subscribe to Ponytails and Pep Talks. I can't wait to speak with you next week. Here we are from sunny California. California. Who knows what next week is going to take us to? Thanks. Bye-bye, guys.
Do you happen to know how to reach me?
Yeah. Okay. Skip that little part. Edit that little part.
Yes.
So, I know. So, in order to reach Yvonne, how can we contact you?
So there's a couple different ways. If you just want to find out a little bit more about me, you can go to Yvonne360.com. And if you want to just have a conversation with me about anything, to see what kind of things we might have in common or like collab on or get support from, whatever, go to chatwithyvonne.com. So YVONNE, chatwithyvonne.com.
Perfect. That's how you can get in contact, guys. And again, no matter what direction your business or your thoughts or things that you're looking for, chat with Yvonne and she can show you and direct you in a way that I guarantee can help you. See y'all guys next week.